I have trained thousands of sales reps. And over the last decade, I have seen it all. Everything from selling sunglasses to selling cars, selling multi-$100 million government contracts to selling SaaS, selling marketing agencies to info products, selling real estate, you name it. I've seen it, I've done it, and I've seen a lot over that last decade. And over working with those thousands of reps, I've started to recognize some patterns. Who burns out? Who excels? Who's naturally dispositioned to be good at sales and who's not? And today, in this lesson, we're going to go over those patterns so that you have, ideally, an idea of what to expect as you start to look at getting into a career of sales. And ultimately, at the end of this lesson, I want you to know, is this for you? Or maybe, is it not? Let's dive in. Roll intro. Let's break this lesson down into 4 main stages. Number 1, the 2 types of sales reps. Number 2, Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Number 3, the roller coaster of sales. And number 4, lastly, whether or not this is right for you. Starting with the number 1, the 2 different types of sales reps, specifically the 2 different types of sales reps every single sales team has. And that is a bottom performer and a top performer. And I'm going to go over both so you can make a decision on which you'd like to be. Now, starting with bottom, like I said, I started in car sales over a decade ago, and I still remember to date, probably the worst salesperson I've ever come across in the last 12 years, 13 years of doing this. And that, we'll call him Kevin. And if you ever met Kevin, this is what you'd see. You'd see someone who was overweight. You'd see someone who always wore baggy, wrinkly clothing. You'd see someone who was always complaining, whether it was the quality of leads or his situation in life. You would reek the smell of weed. You would see him come into the office last and you would see him leave the office first. And if you ever got in a conversation with Kevin, he would just babble and babble and babble on. Kevin was, to be polite, a lazy, pessimistic, undisciplined lowlife. And someone like that would never know top-tier sales frameworks and sales techniques. But even if they did, they still would be a bottom performer. The reason for that is people are who they are, both in business and in life. And later in the series, we're going to harp on that pretty hard. We're actually going to get into pregame and postgame rituals, making sure that your body and brain are in order and tight, making sure that you're operating a tight ship personally, because then you will professionally too. And if you're succeeding personally, then you will professionally. Anyway, option number 1 is you can be a Kevin. Every sales team has a bottom performer. But if that is what appeals to you, this probably isn't the right game. And to be extra transparent, really, if that Kevin lifestyle sounds like where you're going or what you want, then in general, business probably isn't the right place for you, because business is for people who want to drive to be accomplished and be the best version of themselves. And we'll get into that so much deeper later in this phase. But option number 1, to digress, option number 1 is you can be a Kevin. On the other end, every sales team has a top performer. I still remember, same dealership, you have Kevin in one corner and you have Newton on the other. And Newton was your top tier A-plus car sales rep. He would come in with a perfectly pressed suit every single day. And he was the first in the office, probably beat everyone by half an hour. And him and I were always the last to leave. It was our competition. And he had his diet on point. He'd work out every single day. His voice had charisma. He was the only other rep at the dealership that would read sales books like me. He actually was the person who got me into my first sales program, because he gave me all the notes that he was taking from that sales program, and it helped me. And so I was like, I'm going to get in that too. Newton was a top performer. He was always at the top of the leaderboard with me. And if you took away Newton's sales techniques and sales frameworks, if he didn't have any of that, and he had it because he studied, but if he didn't have any of that, he would still be more successful than Kevin, because he respected himself, and so other people respected him. And he was personally accomplished in his life. He excelled in his personal life, and so he would just naturally excel in business, with or without the sales frameworks. And the reason I'm saying this, and the reason I'm giving you guys these 2 options for 2 people to look at, is because as we go through this entire series, and as you start to master the art of selling, ultimately the decision on your performance and how good you're going to be in this game comes down to you. Do you want to be a Kevin, or do you want to be a Newton? Be honest with yourself, make adjustments where needed. But number 2 is Leo Messi and CR7. The 2 GOATs in soccer or football, pick your word. But it's important to make a distinction between them. Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, physically built for the sport. 188 centimeters tall, I think. Athletic build, strong as shit legs. vertical leap like no other. He was dispositioned naturally to be faster, to be able to head people in the box, to be able to body people out, to be able to drive a ball from 30 meters out into the back of the neck. It was God-given talent to him, if you will. And he utilized it. He played to those strengths. But on the flip side, let's look at Leo Messi. Not athletically built for the sport. I think he's 170 centimeters tall, and he is not your strong, big physique. But again, a GOAT, because he played to his strengths, that ticky-tacky style, the field awareness that no one else in football or soccer has ever had. The distinction to make here is that both worked extremely hard. Both are diligent about becoming better at the sport, but both play completely differently. And both are GOATs, both are top tier, two of the best players to ever play the game of football, but they don't play anything alike. It's because they're not alike at all. Think about CR7, think about Leo Messi, think about how different they are as human beings. You wouldn't expect Messi to try to play like CR7 does. You wouldn't expect to see Messi trying to sky people inside the box or body people out or drive balls into the back of the net from 30 meters out. But you also wouldn't expect CR7 to sit back and look at the field and have that field awareness that Messi does, because he's always going to be in the action trying to get the ball. He's a little fucking ball hog. I don't like CR7 too much. Anyway, the same way people are dispositioned to play differently in sports or play different sports, just like Messi and Ronaldo, or even if you look at Tom Brady and Messi and Ronaldo or Michael Jordan, they all have very different strengths and builds and heights, and just they're different. And so they play to their strengths. If Michael Jordan tried to play football, he probably wouldn't be as good. If Tom Brady tried to play soccer, he would fucking suck. I just switched soccer and football again in my head. I'm apparently not going to be able to make this decision. But the reason I'm saying this is because the strengths and dispositions you see in the physical world are very easy to spot. Height is physical, it's tangible. Long arms or strong arms or big body build or strong legs, it's all things you can see. And so if you see someone who's 6 foot, has strong legs, and looks like they run a lot, you'd imagine, hey, and if they have a haircut for it, you'd probably play football or soccer, right? That's just what you think. Versus if you see someone who's 7.5 feet, long as shit arms, you might think, hey, do you play basketball? See, physical attributes, they're really easy to read. But mental attributes are just in the same. We just don't see them, and so we don't think about it. But in the game of sales, we have to understand where our strengths are. Some people are better at connecting with people emotionally. Some people understand tonality better than others. Some people are emotional where others are logical. To think that everyone can play the same game equally is grossly ignorant. We are all dispositioned to be better at different things, and we have to play to those strengths in sales, just like Messi and Ronaldo do. The reason I want to make this point is because in the game that we're going to play throughout the series, you're going to have incredible self-awareness on what you're good at and what you're not good at, how your brain works, and what comes naturally to you. And I'm going to make sure you understand how to tailor the skill sets that we talk about to something that works well for you. But again, if you're a Messi trying to play like Ronaldo, you're never going to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And so critically being self-aware is a skill set that I encourage you to work on starting today. What are you good at? What are you not good at? And if you have trouble thinking about it, again, because it's intangible, compare yourself to other people that you know. It doesn't have to be in the business world. Is your mom or dad or a friend better at connecting with people than you are? Are they more emotional than you are? Are they more logical than you are? When you are talking to somebody, do you read their tonality? Do you read their body language? Is that something you've never thought about? These are all things you can start to think about and then assess as to whether or not you're going to be more of this or that kind of salesperson, which we'll get into later in this series. Number 3 is what I call the roller coaster of sales. See, something you have to know about sales is that you're never going to be able to completely predict what you make every single month. And so if you're someone who wants to know exactly what your income is going to be every single month so that you can expense out a budget, I'm just going to be very flat out and saying sales is probably not for you. We'll get into comp plan stuff in the next phase, but in sales, you're likely going to be making 100% commission, which means you're making an income based on what you're earning for the company, which is performance-based. And performance changes every month. Now, as you get better at sales and as you progress in your skill sets and you get better at the game of persuasion, that roller coaster starts to get a little more flat and the highs and lows are shorter. That graph is tighter, if you will. But when you're first starting, you'll have months where you might make 20K and then you might make 3K. And it can be really inconsistent. No matter what industry you're in, and really no matter how good you're in, there's always going to be ebbs and flows. And so you have to be used to that. You have to be okay with that. There are a lot of people, and no judgment, that don't want to have inconsistent pay structure, that don't want to have the ability to make more money and then follow with less money. They want to say, I'm making X amount of money this month. That's what I can expect. That's what I'm going to bill out. And if that's you, just so you know, it's completely cool to think to yourself, I want stable, reliable, fixed income. That's great. It's just not the game of sales. In business, you'll probably be better off and better versed in another role. And that brings me to number 4, who sales is for. Is sales for you? Let's just first start off by saying the 100% commission structure isn't for everybody. If you are someone, again, who wants to be able to budget out every dollar, sales might not be for you. It's not nearly as predictable as other roles inside of companies. But if you're someone who wants to take a bet on yourself, then I can't see a better avenue than sales, because to me, sales is the best way to tie income and income potential to skill set and growing your skill set. But if you're somebody who wants to take a bet on yourself, then I don't see a better avenue than sales, because sales is the best way to tie your income and income potential to your skill and growing your skill set. I personally hated working on salary. The reliable fixed income that a lot of people look for, I hated it, because to me, I felt like I was always outworking, outpacing, and doing a better job than other people on the same salary. And it just made me feel like I was being undervalued. Or more so, it made me really feel like, why should I even try to get better? I've always wanted and always loved and appreciated performance-based compensation. And so if you're the same way, then sales is a great career for you to look at, because that's what it is. The better you are, it's performance-based. The better you are, the better you get paid. And I love that. Sales is also for future business owners. There is no better way to find out if you want to create a business than getting in sales, because it's the exact same thing on just a smaller scale. In business ownership, you make what you sell, right? The only way to make income as a business owner is to sell services or products to people. And in sales, you make what you sell. You make a percentage of your sales. As a business owner, you have to be able to tolerate risk and stress. And in sales, you have the same thing, because you risk not making any income every month. You stress over leads and the chaos that can be sales. And just like a business owner, the better you are, the more you make. Sales is the best way to trial and test whether or not you want to get into business ownership. My favorite line for this is actually that if you want to learn, get a sales job. If you want to cash in on what you've learned, become a business owner. Sales is for hungry individuals. It's not meant for the Kevins of the world. It's meant for the Newtons of the world. Every team does have a Kevin and every single team does have a Newton. The only difference is the better the team is, the better those standards become. But sales is meant for driven, hungry individuals. And lastly, it's meant for hardworking individuals. Sales is usually the highest paid department of any team in any business. And the reason for that is it's the riskiest. It's usually the most stressful. It's the all or nothing kind of department. And so there's compensation for that risk and for that stress. But if you're not willing to put in the work, you're not going to get paid. And on a good team, you're not going to stay around for long. And so the only way to succeed in sales, aside from the skill sets and the techniques and the frameworks and everything that we're going to get into, is again, deciding, do I want to be a Newton or do I want to be a Kevin? Do I want to be hardworking and diligent, or do I want to be lazy and pessimistic? The purpose of this lesson to close out is that sales is not meant for everybody. It's okay to say, hey, I don't want to take on the risk of possibly not making a lot of money one month and then more money the next month. I want to have stable fixed income. Or, hey, I'm just looking for something to do 9 to 5. I'm not looking to work super hard at this business stuff. I just want something that I can get in and kind of do my stuff online with and then clock out. If that's you, all game for it. But sales, it's hard work. It's diligent work. It's risky. It's stressful. It's as close to business ownership as it can come without being a business owner. It's business ownership just on a smaller level. And to me, I've never found anything else that's even compared to the thrill and the fun and just the overall lifestyle that sales has. But it's not meant for everybody. And so that's what this was for. It's okay at the end of this to say, you know what, this might not be the series for me. Maybe I'll go look at something else. But if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this sounds really, really sick. This is exactly what I was looking for, then great. I'm excited to see you throughout this phase and throughout this series, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, happy hunting.